Thank you all so much for joining today. My name is Danielle Goldman. I'm Executive Director and co-founder of Open Avenues Foundation. And I'm really excited to be here to talk to you all about Cap-exempt H-1B work visas for foreign talent. I think we have a bunch of different folks who have joined today. We talked to immigration attorneys. I think we have some foreign nationals on the call, of course, and some human resource folks at various companies. This is going to be relevant to everyone and hopefully learn something about Cap-exempt H-1B visas. And then also really excited to tell you about our fellowship program that we have specifically meant for individuals who are in a situation where they're in their last chance at the lottery this year, or whether or not you are coming from abroad. This is a program that can be for everyone. So we will dive in. I am going to start by telling you a little bit more about the Open Avenues team. So I co-founded Open Avenues in 2018 with Jeff Goldman. You'll notice we have the same last name because yes, he is my father. He is an immigration attorney based in Boston. I grew up around immigrants my entire life. I make a joke that I knew what an H-1B was before the age of 5. I was able to differentiate an H-1B and an O-1 visa, but really it was something that was just very close to my heart for a long time. And under the Trump administration, we decided we wanted to start a foundation that demonstrated the value of foreign talent in the United States and help to create pathways for foreign talent to contribute here and launch careers here. And we've built this over the last few years together. So it's been a really exciting endeavor. And I'm thrilled with the growth of Open Avenues so far. So just a quick slide on what we're doing. So our goal is, as an organization, is to demonstrate that diverse global talent can catalyze positive outcomes for the United States economy and society. And our fellowship program, which is the unique program that we're going to talk about today and that we've built, opens pathways for foreign talent to contribute to the US innovation economy and trains students and the future US workforce. And the fellowship program is a Cap-exempt H-1B program where we're able to sponsor foreign talent for Cap-exempt visas. And we're going to start by just talking about the H-1B landscape. Most of you are either sponsoring foreign nationals for H-1B visas, or you yourself are going to be applying for an H-1B visa or registering into the lottery this year. So really briefly, we know that an H-1B is the most common work visa pathway for foreign talent, but the annual lottery system is incredibly restrictive and it's capped at 85,000 per year. It only happens once a year and many individuals are shut out because of some of the things I mentioned earlier. OPT expires at an off time that leaves you without the chance to apply for the lottery again. Individuals lose their last chance at the lottery, or the individual is coming from abroad. And so the process is restrictive. This is, the talent pool, if we're talking about the big picture of H-1Bs, the talent pool in the United States, especially in STEM fields, has a massive amount of foreign nationals that are currently working in those jobs or are studying in those fields, which is why in last year, there were 308,000 individuals who submitted H-1B CAP registrations. So we anticipate that number will only increase again. That was up 12% from the previous year and expected to increase again this year. Of course, with that 85,000 cap, that was incredibly restrictive for the number of individuals who ultimately were selected. And we know that the cost of losing talent is great for companies. And especially in today's economy, companies want to do everything possible to retain their talent. And that includes retaining foreign talent. So that is where Cap-exempt H-1Bs come in. And it's a really important thing for foreign nationals to understand. to know that there are different kinds of organizations in the United States that are qualified as Cap-exempt. Cap-exempt H-1B visas are not subject to the annual lottery cap of 85,000. They can be filed at any time of year outside of the annual lottery cycle, and they can be filed and approved in 6 to 8 weeks. That's what Open Avenues is doing, because you can file with premium processing. So Cap-exempt H-1B visas are a great solution for individuals, but let's talk about who can file Cap-exempt H-1B visas. So there are a few types of organizations, 4 types of organizations in the United States that Congress has deemed are exempt from this cap. It's universities, government research institutions, nonprofit research institutions, and nonprofits that are affiliated with a university. So Open Avenues Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we have affiliation agreements with 7 colleges and universities, mostly in Massachusetts where we're based, but also around the United States where we've built out new relationships, and we're continuing to build out new relationships with universities. This gives Open Avenues Foundation Cap-exempt H-1B status, and it means that anybody employed by Open Avenues is eligible for a Cap-exempt H-1B. Now, if you work for any four types of Cap-exempt organizations on this slide, you are eligible for a Cap-exempt H-1B. You don't need to consider this fellowship. These organizations can file a Cap-exempt H-1B visa for you at any point throughout the year. If you work part-time for one of these Cap-exempt organizations, you can be sponsored by that organization for a part-time Cap-exempt H-1B visa, which is what Open Avenues Foundation files for our fellows in our program. So how does it work that Open Avenues can file these visas? How is this beneficial for an individual that wants to work full-time for a company? Many of you are coming to this meeting today because you have a full-time job offer. You want to go work as a software developer for your company full-time, or as a scientist full-time for your company, but you are either going to be entering that last lottery or you need another solution. So one option is to work for a Cap-exempt organization part-time, just for a few hours per week. And what you're able to do is have a concurrent employer, once you're in Cap-exempt H-1B status, also file your Cap-exempt H-1B visa. So the way that this works for us is, once a foreign national is in Cap-exempt status with Open Avenues part-time in our fellowship, it opens the door for any US employer that doesn't typically qualify as a Cap-exempt employer to concurrently file a Cap-exempt H-1B visa. So this is a really exciting opportunity for individuals who are not working for one of those Cap-exempt organizations to potentially qualify for a Cap-exempt H-1B. So let's talk about our fellowship, because this is the part-time employment that we've been talking about. If you work for Open Avenues for 5 hours per week, awesome, you can get a Cap-exempt H-1B visa. And this is the program that we run. It's called the Global Talent Fellowship. We run it for foreign nationals that are interested in training the future US workforce in your field of expertise. So we hire fellows for 5 hours per week to lead real-world company challenges with university students at those 7 partner universities that I showed the logos for on the previous slide that we're affiliated with. We have fellows right now. We have 32 fellows in our program. This year, we're growing the program to up to 60 fellows. So we're doubling the size of the program. And the fellows that are in our program are in a variety of fields. And we are open to expanding these fields as long as they're within STEM or business. That's really been our focus so far. So We have software developers, data scientists, web developers, we have financial analysts, we have market research analysts, individuals who focus in bioinformatics, really have gotten niche in some of these fields, and it's been really fun to learn about the great work that individuals have specialized in and are willing to impart on students as a fellow in our program. So the fellows in our program work to launch experiential learning projects for students. Our fellows are not teachers, they are not mentors, they're actually acting as experts in their field, launching projects throughout the year for students during this time of working for Open Avenues. And this is in the form of micro internships. This is the most popular programming that we run. These are 5-week projects that are launched open to students, and students actually get paid to work on these projects with our fellows. We also have boot camps that we participate in, where our fellows launch projects for those boot camps at our partner schools. And we have in-class projects where our fellows come into the classroom and launch a project alongside a professor that's teaching the class and are really giving students this hands-on work experience. And the fellowship is a huge win-win solution, right? All of our fellows are sponsored for Cap-exempt H-1B work visas. It's an immigration solution for foreign talent, absolutely. But our fellows are training the future US workforce in their field of expertise. So it's super cool that we're able to show that foreign nationals are able to train the future US workforce when they're staying here and train American students at US universities. And that goes back to our mission that we talked about at the beginning, which is to demonstrate the contribution of foreign talent in the United States. So who's qualified to be a fellow with Open Avenues? The ideal candidate has a degree, at least a bachelor's degree, if not a master's or a PhD in a STEM or business related field, and ideally 2 years of work experience in that field. OPT work is absolutely included as work experience. And we like to see when individuals have experience mentoring or working with students or peers, and demonstrating that they'd be a strong candidate to launch projects with students in our program. This is really important. An individual must have a job offer from a US employer. Open Avenues partners with the employer that you want to go work for and contracts with them to participate in to have foreign nationals participate in our programming. So I'm going to go through a timeline of how this works in a minute. And the US employer must be willing to sponsor your Cap-exempt H-1B work visa or your H-1B visa. So and they have to be willing to go through a sponsorship process with you. When we evaluate candidates, number one, we check to make sure that a candidate is eligible for an H-1B. Does the individual have a specialty occupation? Do you have a degree in one of these fields, and are you working in that field in the United States? That's how we ensure that you have a strong specialty occupation as determined by the Department of Labor, and you're actually eligible for the Cap-exempt H-1B, because a Cap-exempt H-1B is the same as an H-1B. It requires that you have that degree and that you're working in the field that you have the degree in. We do a degree of the specialty occupation with a law firm. So our law firm that we're partnered with will actually do that evaluation and take your transcripts to understand what you would work in as a fellow, what field you'd work in. And we have a screening call. So a call is scheduled and we meet with the candidates and talk to them about the programming. All of this happens as long as we've already talked to your employer and they're willing to move forward. So as I said, Open Avenues partners with an employer that is willing to sponsor you for an H-1B visa. They typically, the employer has entered you into the lottery. They have, agreed to support you and they want to retain you. You've demonstrated your value there. And Open Avenues can be a solution for that company to ensure that they can retain you, even if you lose the lottery, or if you want to come from abroad and enter the United States and work for the company in the US. This is also a solution, a reason for the company to partner with Open Avenues. So the way that this works, and I think that I took out the slide with the timeline, but we're just going to talk through the fellowship timeline. Open Avenues Foundation hosts these information sessions, and we are constantly, my colleague Erin and I are constantly meeting with companies throughout the week to discuss the program and discuss the foreign nationals eligibility. We will meet with foreign nationals that are interested in the program, but really Open Avenues is partnering with the company. So it's best that you have a company contact us, or you contact us alongside someone with an HR representative or someone at your company who's going to be a decision maker. If you're an HR representative on this call right now, you can contact us directly and we'll talk about eligibility for the fellowship for any candidates that you think could use this solution. We go through the evaluation process, and then we contract with the company that is interested in moving forward with the fellowship for an individual. Once we contract, that is when Open Avenues Foundation immediately files the Cap-exempt H-1B visa, that petition. So the process that Open Avenues takes is 6 to 8 weeks once we contract with a company. Once the 6 to 8 weeks are over and you've been approved for a Cap-exempt H-1B visa and you're a fellow with Open Avenues Foundation, it immediately opens the door for a company to concurrently sponsor the H-1B visa. So we talked about the concurrent sponsorship, and the pathway is really, we're looking at about 6 to 8 weeks for an individual to get approved for the fellowship and then have the company concurrently sponsor a Cap-exempt H-1B work visa. As soon as the company files the concurrent visa, the individual, the foreign national, is immediately eligible to work for that company. As long as the petition has been filed, it does not have to be approved. The company just has to have filed that visa. So it's a pretty, quick timeline for anyone that's in the United States. For anyone outside the United States, once an individual is approved for a fellowship position and Cap-exempt H-1B, the individual must make an appointment at the consulate outside of the United States in their home country or wherever they're residing and get a visa stamp to enter the United States on a Cap-exempt H-1B. And as soon as they enter, that's when the company can concurrently file a Cap-exempt H-1B work visa. So there's a little bit of a longer timeline for anyone outside of the United States, just because they need that visa stamp to enter. But for anyone inside the United States who's on OPT, on a B1, B2, trying to figure out the next step and wants to transition into a Cap-exempt H-1B, then the timeline is about 6 to 8 weeks. So that's pretty exciting for folks who have expiring deadlines with OPT. So the program itself, and I promise I saw some hands come up. We're going to talk through. We have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. But let's talk through the financial commitment, because I said we partner with a company on the program. So companies sponsor individuals. Companies nominate individuals for the fellowship program. And the initiation fee for the program is $12,000. That includes the Cap-exempt H-1B visa that Open Avenues files, the premium processing to get a response in 15 days, and the work that we do and the government filing fees, as well as the work that we do to put together the petitions. And there's a quarterly fee for programming to put on the educational programming that we do with our university partners. And that goes through as long as individuals are in our program. It's different for everyone. So that is why we charge a quarterly fee for that. And companies must pay this fee. That's why we don't take on individuals into our program who are searching for jobs. We only take on individuals that have a company that is willing to partner with Open Avenues and sponsor the individual for a concurrent visa. So here are our current company partners. We have 32 companies in total. There are 30 on here right now, but we have recently partnered with a couple of more, and we have about 15 more that are coming on board in the next few months. And we anticipate after the lottery that will increase. And we, as I said, we're doubling the program this year. So we do have plenty of open spots in the fellowship in a variety of fields. I just want to talk about what companies get. You know, a lot of individuals come to me and say, this is awesome, but how do I even start to approach this to my company, and how do I talk about this and tell them that this is a good opportunity? So of course, I have materials that you can bring, and our organization has materials that you can bring to your company where you can talk about the program itself and what a Cap-exempt H-1B visa is and why this is a solution for you. But there are also other company benefits to participating in and having an individual participate in our program. So obviously the immigration solution and retaining foreign talent is number one. But number two, this is a huge leadership opportunity for fellows. Getting in front of students and teaching and really imparting knowledge and leading these projects is an awesome leadership and engagement opportunity for public speaking, learning how to break down information in your field and talk about it to entry-level candidates, and be a manager sometimes for the first time is really exciting for our fellows, and they get a lot out of it. Really exciting for a lot of HR at companies is that when our fellows launch projects with students, they're getting access to diverse talent pipelines because students are delivering materials and outputs for the projects to our fellows, and they're showing their work ethic, they're showing their capabilities to potentially go work for the companies full time after they graduate. So this is an awesome opportunity for companies to identify future interns. We just had a company yesterday, Red Cell Partners out in San Francisco, hired one of our fellows to be an entry-level scientist at their company. So that was super exciting for us to see that cycle actually working and companies actually hiring the students that are working with their fellows on projects. And community impact work. Open Avenues is partnered with quite a few community colleges and technical institutions, and we're building out more community college partnerships. We care about opening career pathways for US students that otherwise would not have these opportunities. So again, we're talking about foreign nationals participating in our projects to open the door for US students to really gain access to some awesome companies. And these are some of the other reasons why companies would want to partner with Open Avenues. So I will open it up to questions from here on out, and we can talk about the program some more. I'm sure that the 24 of you on the call, I can have you hop in and get off mute, and we can talk about the program some more. Mohit, I see you have your hand raised. Do you want to start?
Yes, thank you so much for allowing me to ask this question. So I had a question. So I have a master's degree, master's in law. So I am currently working for an employer in Chicago and on OPT. But since I'm not from a STEM degree, so my OPT will expire in December this year. So do you also sponsor students who are from legal background?
We haven't yet. The door is not closed towards it. I'm happy to take your transcripts and send them to our law firm, and I can, learn a little bit more about what they've experienced in terms of sponsoring individuals with a legal background and finding a specialty occupation there. It's also going to be important that you have a law firm that's willing to sponsor your visa and go down this pathway if that's something that we identify that could work.
Right. So my employer, I mean, I work with their legal department. I'm one of their lawyers. So yeah, they're willing to sponsor me. They've already filed my H-1B cap petition uh, for the lottery system. And so we're waiting for the lottery. But then just in any case, if I'm not fortunate enough to win the lottery, so then we are exploring opportunities going ahead if I do
Yeah.
not win the lottery.
Right. Yeah. So send your transcripts along and we'll definitely ask the question to our law firm.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Swapnil, do you want to hop in? I saw your hand went up next.
Can you explain a bit about the 6 to 8 weeks timeline that you mentioned? Does it start when the contract is done, or does the timeline include the evaluation done at Open Avenues?
Great question. The timeline starts after we contract. So of course, every company is different in terms of the legal counsel that needs to review, review the documents that we send. The evaluation process can be done pretty quickly. I mean, we're talking about, about 2 weeks for an evaluation, having the law firm look at transcripts and then having a screening call. If it's a real rush, we've done it in 1 week. But yes, as soon as we contract with a company, we start to put together the petition with the fellow. And that includes scoping a project, putting together project documents, demonstrating that the individual is actually going to have a robust fellowship position with Open Avenues. And we have templates for all of that all of our fellows go through as we put together that petition, and we file within 4 weeks. So the 6 to 8 weeks is a timeline that starts after the contract is signed.
And just a follow up on that, can the screening process and the things before contract begin, like within week or two, like before the H-1B lotteries are done?
Yes, absolutely. We've already, I assume you have a tight timeline after the lottery?
Correct.
Yeah. When is the deadline?
First week of June.
Yeah. So for anyone in June, April, May, June, well, for anyone in April, we actually went ahead and filed their petition ahead of the lottery. For anyone in May and June, we've done evaluations now before the lottery, or, in the next couple of weeks, to ensure that the individual is qualified so that the work is done. And we anticipate a large rush of individuals after the lottery takes place. Yeah, so we're happy to do an evaluation ahead of time.
And I'm sorry, I'm hogging the line.
That's okay.
I work for a small startup, and so like my manager, he's usually busy and like flying around. So is it possible that I copy him in an email, but I start the conversation with Open Avenues, like with regards to transcript and sending out resume and all, or should the email originate from my manager or the HR and I should be copied in?
So we only move forward with an evaluation when I have confirmation that the individual's company is willing to engage with us and they know our pricing, they know the fellowship and like commitment, and they want to move forward if needed. So if I get a confirmation email from your company that says we are interested in moving forward with the fellowship, if Swapnil loses the lottery this year, then yes, we will move forward and you can coordinate that.
Okay, so you just need a confirmation from our manager, and from then I can start communicating with copying of course, copying my manager and the company, but yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Zahid, do you want to hop in?
Yeah, hi. Actually, I have joined the call probably in the middle. Okay, I have an IT degree, master's degree. So I'm living in Dubai and working here as a IT project manager with the background of software engineering and software development. So just I wanted to know, I don't have any, I'm an employer in the US to offer me anything right away because I have not tried anything. So this is the first session I'm going to be attend. So just I wanted to know what are the prospects, the people like me, which having the profile of IT, software programming, software development, and project management. So just wanted to know what are the prospects, people like me, and how you can support to me.
Right. So finding an employer in the United States that's willing to sponsor an H-1B can be challenging, mostly because of the random lottery system that we've talked about, and finding an employer that, that is hiring you when the timing is right and can wait until you actually get approved for an H-1B the process can take a long time. I think it can be a huge value add to go to an employer and talk to them about what a Cap-exempt H-1B is and say, you know about this organization. I would recommend to you to look at the companies that we're already partnered with, because they know about open avenues, they know about Cap-exempt H-1Bs, and maybe see if they have any open positions. I would also say that from my experience, companies that are most likely willing to partner with open avenues and go down this route happen to be small to mid-size companies. We've worked with one public company that's quite large, but for the most part, we're talking about the most successful partnerships that we've built have been with organizations that are where I can actually get on the phone with a CEO or a CFO or a senior level individual at the company who's making decisions about immigration policies and partnerships and are willing to be innovative in the space and sponsor someone for a Cap-exempt H-1B. So, I think we're going to grow a lot this year, and hopefully, individuals will know a little bit more about our program, and companies will know more. But that's my 2 cents on getting a job in the United States. I mean, the Cap-exempt H-1B would allow you to come to the United States at any time of year. So that's hugely valuable for a company that wants your skill set, right? You can say, if you partner with Open Avenues, you don't have to wait until the next H-1B lottery or the next, or when I would be approved for an H-1B after the lottery, and start October 1st in the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So that's what I would say.
Okay, thanks for the advice. Thank you.
Sunny, do you want to hop in?
Sure. So I know you mentioned about the employer cost, and so I just want to know, I work for a non-profit, so to some companies that cost might be too high, I would say. So I don't know, since you said there might be some scholarship or something available, are there any scholarships? Or is that the cost no matter what?
Yeah, so at this moment, we don't have scholarships for the program. The fees are the responsibility of the company. We have in the past given a startup discount for some really early stage startups. And I assume nonprofits would definitely fit into that. The $12,000 initial fee is not, we can't do a discount on that. Our costs are incredibly high up front for the legal work and the work that we put into those visas. But the quarterly fees, there could be some opportunity for discounts for smaller companies or nonprofits.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Talha?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes. How do you say your name?
Oh, my name is Talha. I'm from India.
Perfect.
So basically, I work for Boeing in India, and right now my company back there in US, they wanted to bring me over there in US. So they have filed for my H-1B cap for the lottery. Suppose I don't get through the lottery, is there an opportunity that I can get you in touch with the Boeing folks and they can talk to you more in detail? The questions that I have for you is, you talked about 4 to 6 weeks for the overall process from your end, and then you will file H-1B cap for me. I have a B1, B2 visa, which I use to travel to US to have my meetings back here in US. Is it necessary that I need to have a stamping over here in India with H-1B cap, and then only I can travel, or I can travel on my B1, B2 by the time my company files for a concurrent H-1B cap? Did you get my question?
Yeah. You have 2 options. Number 1, you could come to the United States on your B1, B2, but you have to be in the United States for at least 60 days before we would even file your cap-exempt H-1B visa. So you can't come to the United States for a week, have us on your tourist visa, file a cap-exempt H-1B, and you stay on a cap-exempt H-1B, because USCIS wants to see that you were respecting the intentions of your tourist visa. So if you want to come on the B1, B2, stay for 60 days on the B1, B2, you can't be working really on that tourist visa, right? And then you want us to file after that 60-day period, that's an option. Option 2 is in India, we can file it at any time, and you make that appointment at the consulate in India, which I can tell you are actually available quickly these days, in India specifically. And you can make the appointment and get the visa stamp on your passport and then enter the United States.
So once I enter the States, can I work for Boeing over there once you get an approved H-1B cap for me? Or unless and until my employer, Boeing, they file H-1B cap and that gets approved, I can't work for Boeing.
Right. The moment you enter into the United States, if you have a cap-exempt H-1B, it's been approved while you're in India, and you enter into the United States with that cap-exempt H-1B, meaning your H-1B stamp is in your passport, the moment you land and start work as an Open Avenues fellow, Boeing can have their petition, their own cap-exempt H-1B petition, ready to file for you that same day. And you can start working for them the next day. So it's a really seamless transition once you enter into the United States. For anyone else that's in the United States, as soon as you are approved for an Open Avenues visa and start that first day as a fellow, the next day your company can file their own cap-exempt visa for you, right? So the transition is very quick for folks that are in the US. And what we're talking about, Talha, from coming outside the United States, the only delay is getting that appointment, traveling to the United States, and then the immediacy of the concurrent visa is possible.
So my company just needs to file the petition. It doesn't need, suppose it doesn't get approved, then also I can work, or what are the chances of getting it rejected?
Right. It doesn't, so they just need to file it. And typically those can process in 6 to 12 months without premium processing. So they can file with premium processing and you can know if it's approved, or you have a request for evidence in 15 days if they want to spend that money. If they don't have to. They can just file regular processing. We've never had a concurrent visa denied. We've had a couple of times there was a request for evidence, but they were always approved and you can work during that time. Open Avenues Foundation on our visas has 100% approval rating for our 35 fellows.
How long is the duration for this H-1B cap? How long can I work for Boeing? 3 years, and then again, they need to file my green card?
Great question. Yeah, great question. So Open Avenues files 3-year cap-exempt H-1B visas, but the goal for everyone is to get into cap-exempt H-1B if they need it, and then to exit cap-exempt H-1B and get into regular H-1B status, so you don't have to work 5 hours per week for Open Avenues. In an ideal world, you're just going to work, you're going to only work for your full-time employer. So what we'd be looking at, is having you enter the next lottery. And so you'd be in our program until you win another lottery, or until a green card, you're given work authorization on a green card. But you have the ability to stay in our program for the full 3 years if needed.
Okay, thanks a lot for all the answers. Yep, thank you.
Great. Tosin, do you have some question you want to ask? Tosin? I could be saying your name wrong. Okay, Fernando, do you want to hop in? Oh, Tosin, I see.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I see you just got off mute. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, if I already typed my question, I sent it to you. I don't know if you received it. So my question is, if I get my company on board, will they be required to pay me an extra 5 hours part-time work? I just want to be sure how that, that part-time, it's okay not to get paid. I mean, I'm willing to make that sacrifice, but ideally, how does that work?
Fantastic question, Tosin. I'm really glad you asked that. So the answer is no. There's no additional fee for your company to pay for an extra 5 hours of work per week. However, what we do with a company is called a salary share, and the company is still going to pay exactly what they offer you for salary for the full time. And you're going to receive your full-time salary for the full-time employment that your company has offered. But 5 hours at the fair wage per week is actually going to be invoiced through Open Avenues, and you're going to get paid those 5 hours per week by us. So you'll receive 2 paychecks, but you're going to receive your total salary. And basically what we do is we work with the company to just split that salary so that they're paying the same amount out, but you're receiving it from 2 employers. And that's because we're concurrently employing you.
Okay, so I get a paycheck from you, and I also get a paycheck from my company.
Yep.
Okay,
And they don't owe additional fees for that. They just have to conduct the salary share. So they maneuver their accounting essentially.
Okay, my other question is, in the event that my company decides to transition into an EB visa, so how does that work with you?
Yeah. So anyone who wants to exit the program can. We have a 6-month minimum in the program, but if you are transitioning into another visa type or into a green card, fantastic. We have individuals exit our program all the time. The goal for our program is to keep talent in the United States and make sure that we're able to support during that time. But if there's another solution that works for you and you want to exit our program, that's always okay.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Great. Any other questions from anyone on the call?
Yeah, no. Talha, this side, you just said that you would also pay for the 5 hours and the company would also be paying. So would not that be a case for dual employment?
For dual employment?
Yep.
This is concurrent employment, dual employment. You're working for both Open Avenues Foundation for 5 hours per week, and the remainder full-time, you're working for your full-time employer.
Okay, so the company needs to have an agreement that the company should be willing that the candidate would be putting 5 hours for Open Avenues. That's the thing that the company has to agree.
Yes, and all of that is in our contract with the company that we sign.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Danielle, this is Praful here.
How's it going?
Going good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, so I did have a couple of questions. I think most of them were covered here, but just in terms of the 5-hour salary that needs to go to OAF to pay me, is that invoiced as part of the quarterly, or is that invoiced I get checks bi-weekly? So how would that invoice work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question. So Open Avenues invoices the company quarterly for the quarter ahead for the salary share, and we're able to pay all of our fellows on a bi-weekly basis. So you get your salary from Open Avenues no matter what on a bi-weekly basis. So you receive your paycheck, you get the full total paycheck that you have been offered by your company in terms of salary.
Okay, so that would be 3,300 plus whatever the hourly rate for the next quarter would be. That would all be paid by my company in advance to your foundation, and then I'll receive it bi-weekly. Okay.
You got it. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. And then I did have a question about the RFE. So I know you said that all of the H-1Bs that were filed to OAF were all successful.
Yep.
Maybe there were a couple of them with RFEs. So is there any additional fee? I know typically law firms charge an additional amount for if there is RFE on the case. So with this one, other than the 12,000, if let's say my petition received an RFE, would you guys be charging anything for that RFE?
No, we don't charge for an RFE, and we actually only received the only RFEs we received last year. There were 2 of them, and they were for individuals in CPT. Nobody in OPT or coming from outside the US received an RFE, and the only RFEs were questioning the legitimacy of those CPT programs. And we don't charge more for those RFE responses.
I'm on the CPD program, and I know like typically CPD candidates do get RFE even in the regular RFE, but there has been success with that. So okay, thank you. And then just on the RFE piece, let's say the firm got a RFE, then when my employer files the Cap-exempt, have you seen cases where that petition might have got a RFE?
Yeah, I've seen 2. And they were basically, what happened is they just wanted to confirm, because it took so long for the concurrent petition to process, USCIS was checking in to see that the individual is still employed by Open Avenues. So I've sent more information that shows they've been employed the whole time working. So it's a pretty easy response.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. And I'm assuming the premium processing, if the company chooses to do that, is the cost on them. So
once you have it, yeah, and what exactly, if you file premium processing on the concurrent visa, that's the company's decision.
Okay, I think that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
For sure. Anybody else have any questions?
I do, Daniel. Hello, my name is Fernando. Can you hear me well?
I can, yes.
Perfect. So what is the likeliness of not moving forward due to background experience? Because I'm 2-3 years early on my career on OPT. This is my last year of trying to apply for the H-1B. So what's the likeliness of OAF not moving forward due to that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the work experience and you've been a couple years working in your field and you have a degree and you have a strong H-1B, and we feel like you are excited about working with students, then it's a high likelihood that you could get approved, that you could get accepted into the program, and obviously approved for a Cap-exempt H-1B. So there's no, we don't, not accept people because they only have a couple of years of work experience.
Got it. Because I've been looking into the program for a while now, and I saw the new people accepted, and everybody is like MIT, PhD, like super genius type of deal.
Not every, we have a variety of folks. And we have folks that are coming in that have just a couple of years of work experience. And we know that both of those types of individuals can be beneficial for students, and a few years of work experience and sometimes being closer to a student's stage can also be really helpful for students as for in our fellowship.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if I heard you well, but while since this is my last attempt to apply, let's say I don't get it, and I go through the OAF route, the next step would be to apply again the next year.
Yep.
So I'm allowed to apply even if I already have an H-1B Cap-exempt for the not exempt, right?
Exactly. Everybody in our program who is in Cap-exempt status is entering the lottery. Everybody, because the idea is that you want to get into Cap-exempt status, but you also don't want to be in this forever. You want to move on to the next visa type that will allow you to only work for your employer. And obviously your employer doesn't want to pay quarterly fees endlessly. They'd prefer to not. And so we're totally aware of that. And yeah, you exit the program as soon as you have an opportunity to.
Awesome to hear that. One last question.
Yeah.
Say it doesn't work with OAF and I don't get approved with my application, even though the employer is willing to pay the fees and work with you guys. I saw the 4 types of Cap-exempt that you can get. One is through university. Let's say I get a job as a part-time researcher for a university to get me a Cap-exempt H-1B. Can I also work with another company alongside, same as with OAF?
Yes.
So while I'm working as a researcher for a university, the other company can file for a Cap-exempt as well?
Absolutely.
Interesting. Perfect.
The challenge in the past, and the reason we built this program, is because universities tend to be, it's amazing if you're able to get a job at a university and they're willing to sponsor a Cap-exempt H-1B. We've just seen universities be incredibly tentative in the past to like actually go through sponsorship of anybody that works for them. So it's just, maybe you fall into one of those universities that's open to doing this. It was the reason we decided to build a nonprofit that's partnered with universities so that it's not incumbent on the university to actually go through with the sponsorship.
Correct. And I'm just asking because I also saw that you guys are open to partnership with new university. And the university I went to, it has basically zero, very small knowledge of immigrations, and I consider myself an immigration consultant because I've done so much research about it. And I feel like a partnership with them would be pretty ideal, not only for the program and solutions that you guys give, but for future companies, recruiting and whatnot. And so finding out about OAF opened my eyes to a lot of ideas and solutions. So thank you for your time, Daniel, and thank you for the answers you provided. I think that was it for my side.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to connect with that school and learn more about that opportunity for sure. Thanks for joining. Anybody else have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. So my first question is, what is the difference between, you've used two terms or 2 words, for lack of a better word, file and approve? I just want to understand what you mean by file and approve. Number 2 is, I also want to clarify, I mean, the wage or the remuneration, the 5 hours. Is it that it's a requirement from USCIS, or I just want to be sure. And then the 3rd question, in terms of project, I have a specialized skill. I I'm an SAP person. I don't know if you've heard about SAP. SAP is an enterprise resource planning software. So I can, and there is a whole lot of, there's a need in the industry to get people skilled from an ERP, SAP perspective. So this is kind of something I feel that you would, I feel you would love to see my plan or my proposal.
Yeah.
So are you just looking at software developers? Are you just looking at, I just want to be sure if my proposal or what I will bring to the table is something that you would be interested in.
Yeah. So I'll start with the last one. So all of our fellows have work in really unique fields. And we are really excited to learn about what our fellows are able to provide in terms of project work for students. It's part of the screening call that you have with my colleague Erin, as you who's our immigration program coordinator. As you come on, you'll talk about what are the potential types of projects you think you could launch. You know, we'd learn about how you would actually interact with students and what you'd be able to teach them in terms of skills through the project. So that would definitely come out as part of your project. But you know, it's also alongside some other criteria, like, are you qualified for an H-1B? But it's really exciting to hear that you're in a unique niche field within software. To us, that's super valuable that we could offer students that kind of access to talent. It's why we do what we do. We know that foreign nationals are doing amazing things in the United States, and giving US students access to individuals like yourself would be fantastic. So I'm glad you brought that up. Your other question was about approving, the difference between
the file and
approve.
Yes.
So when Open Avenues, I said you can get an approval in 6 to 8 weeks. That means you actually will have the approval notice that you are approved for a Cap-exempt H-1B visa. We file the visa at around 4 weeks if everyone's moving on the timeline that we, are able, moving in a timely manner. So of course, that's the difference. We file at 4 weeks and get approved, within 15 days after that. Now, you probably got a little confused because the concurrent employer, your full-time employer, they only have to file the visa the day after you're approved with us, because you can work for, as long as the concurrent employer has filed a visa for you, you're allowed to start working for them. You don't have to wait till it's approved. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'll ping the PR to you.
It auto create.
Yes.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. The other.
I'm sorry, my boss. I'm so sorry. My boss came in. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yes,
Did that make sense to you?
Yeah, I got it. The other question, the last question is about the wage. Is it a requirement? I'm just wondering.
Yep. So every H-1B employer must pay the fair prevailing wage for the individual. So if you're a software developer, Open Avenues as an H-1B employer has to pay you the fair hourly wage for a software developer in whatever city that you're working in. And your company also has to pay the fair prevailing wage for a software developer for whatever city you're working in. And that is why we do the salary share. So that both employers that are sponsoring you for a visa are both paying you the fair wage.
Salary share. You mean if I work a total of 45 hours in a week, so we have the same wage level, the part-time and the full-time employers. So you multiple. Okay, I get it. It's clear now. Thank you.
Yeah. Basically, when we do that split of the salary and both employers are paying you, we make sure that both amounts are over the fair prevailing wage. Anyone else have a last question before we hop off?
Hey, Danielle, I know we are at 1. I'll just sneak in one question. So About the green card, let's say my company could file a green card as soon as I receive the H-1B on their end, after OAF has filed. And let's say I continue within the program. I don't get my H-1B through the lottery. I continue the program for maybe 2 years or 3 years, in fact. And in the meantime, my priority date comes. Do I still have to have a H-1B through the lottery in order to continue extending the H-1B? Because once I have my priority date for the green card.
So once you have your priority date for the green card, do you have to stay in H-1B status? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I think we have to stay, but I was wondering, does it need to be the H-1B through the lottery, or could it be the H-1B through the OAF?
Either. They're the same type of status. So you can be in Cap-exempt H-1B or regular H-1B. It doesn't matter.
Okay, but I'll have to continue the engagement with OAF until.
No, if you win the lottery and transition out of our program and into regular H-1B, that's completely fine.
Okay, got it. And then just one more question. Have you had any cases where people have got the H-1B and they've traveled back to their home countries for stamping? Have you heard of any issues or anything at the consulate?
No issues at the consulate. The only issues have been delays in getting the appointments. Our organization has developed an entire DS-160 guide. We have a lot of individuals in our everyone's done this at this point, most people. So we have a lot of experience from our fellows who can share what they've been through, but it's not been anything concerning. Like they've not been stopped and asked like, this isn't a legitimate program or anything like that.
Thank you.
So one last question, actually. Hi, this is Arvind. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So you have said like there is some concern about people who have done the CPT program and then trying to get employed. So what kind of measures or what can we do to ensure that there is a success rate? Because a lot of employers don't prefer to file for H-1B cap for people who have done CPT, and some of them who have done, they always get an RFE. And they need to provide a lot of documentation to support the argument. So in this challenging situation, how if you're trying to file a new petition for candidates who have done CPT, what is that you would suggest? And who still needs an H-1B? What is that you would suggest to have a successful path forward in the process of filing along with your team or maybe elsewhere?
Right. So for the CPT candidates moving forward, we already have the list of documents that we've gotten in RFE, that in the RFE USCIS has requested. So moving forward, we're just going to include all of those documents up front and just bury evidence that this was a legitimate CPT program. So that's going to be our strategy moving forward, is just include everything up front rather than include a normal amount of information and then take the risk that there's going to be an RFE. Does that make sense?
Good. That makes sense. Do you have that list that we can see somewhere? Is it
I do have the list. I have to dig it out, but if you email me, I can get it to you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Danielle. Really nice talking to you. And really wonderful explanation for everything.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining. Awesome, everybody. I just put up the contact information. I probably should have done that sooner. But if you have any questions, you can email me or my colleague, Aaron, and we'll get in touch with you. And I will send out this recording after to everyone. So you'll have my email anyway. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.